respectfully invite you to please come over to the high table, please. Apostle Charles Osazua. All right, thank you so much. So we want to ladies and gentlemen, we want to now specially invite all of us to please rise to our feet as we take the national anthem. Where's Maliki? I heard that you're a choir master. Standing, we'll take the Univen anthem. Thank you very much. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, once again, I want to very specially welcome you all this beautiful Friday afternoon, 6th February 2018, to the greatest university in sub-Saharan Africa. The greatest university in Nigeria, the best university in Nigeria, the University of Benin. University students, if you believe, can make some noise. Thank you so much. Thank you. All right, thank you. I want to very specially appeal to the very energetic Student Union President and his team over there. Please, while we appreciate the hailings and the buzzers coming from there, let's tamper it down a little bit, all right? Ehis, you hear me? Thank you so much. And so, it's my pleasure right now to introduce the Vice Chancellor and members of his team that are here this morning. Ladies and gentlemen, the Vice Chancellor of the University of Benin. He is a fellow of the Nigerian Society of Engineers. Please, let's put our hands together for Professor Friday Faraday Osasere Orumensi. Thank you. I also want to very especially recognize Deputy Vice Chancellor Thank you. Deputy Vice Chancellor Administration, Professor J. Ehorobo. Deputy Vice Chancellor Academic, Professor Pius Irogbe. The Registrar and Secretary to Council of the University of Benin, Mrs. O.A. Otasowe Oshodi. The University Librarian, Dr. Mrs. Evelyn Omoluabi Idiodi. Still on the high table, yes, the very handsome man of God, Pastor Sazua. Thank you for coming. You're welcome. Of course, our guest lecturers, they are here also. A proper introduction of the guest lecturers will be done in a few minutes, but just permits me at this point to recognize the first lecturer today, the Director General National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, NAPTIP, Dame Julie Okaidonle Esquire. And of course, the second lecture or lecturer today to be given by the #1 students of this great university, the Dean of Students, Professor Reverend Osareme Benson Osadolo. Thank you so much. Thank you. We also want to very representatives, the representative of the Omonova Nedo Okuakolopolo, they are here. Please let us put our hands together for them, for the very revered chiefs from the Palace of Jaba of Benin. Thank you so much. We had made a very detailed introductions earlier, so this is a public lecture to celebrate a great man. It's a lecture to celebrate a gentleman who joined the exclusive club of the sexagenarian. This is an occasion to celebrate a man whose businesses who has not only experienced the businesses, but has traversed and conquered land and sea and air. A pilot at the age of 21, and by 30, he had logged over 7,500 hours of flying time as a commercial jet pilot. He has also conquered the land by veering into agriculture and agro-allied businesses that has employed nearly 60,000 to 100,000 persons, and currently veering into another one that has the potential of employing nearly 60,000 youths. Not only that, he has also veered into the sea with many vessels good for security and crude oil movement, That makes him a very major player in the oil and gas industry in Nigeria. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, this man that we honor today, this gentleman that we celebrate today, after conquering the air, conquering the sea, and conquering land, I have no doubt that his next destination is Mars, and he will most definitely conquer Mars when he gets there. A detailed profile of him will be read later, but permit me, very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, to humbly, respectfully, these attributes I do not have any intention of sharing with my co-MC this afternoon, Maliki, to recognize our celebrants today, the very humble gentleman, Captain, Doctor, Idahosa Okunbo. Put your hands together for him, ladies and gentlemen. Put your hands together for him. A round of applause. Against me, you're welcome. A round of applause. Put your hands together for him, please. Put your hands together. A round of applause. Put your hands together for him. Thank you so much. Thank you. Please take your seats. Greatest students, greatest university students, greatest of the greatest university students, my students of this university. Fantastic students, great students of this university, wonderfully well-behaved students. They are led this morning. They are led this morning by the acting president of the Student Union, Ms. Frances Okunbo, and of course, the speaker, Right Honorable F.E. Igberi, Speaker of the Student Union Government. Thank you for coming. Please put your hands together for yourselves. And at this point, I now have the distinct honor and pleasure to invite, to give the welcome address, the Vice Chancellor of our great university, Professor Friday Faraday Osasere Orumesi, a fellow of the Nigerian Society of Engineers. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir.
Alumnus, an outstanding entrepreneur, a philanthropist, a patriot, and an illustrious son of the soil, Captain Dr. Idahosa Okunbo, at whose instance today lecture titled Youth Migration, Consequences and Current Realities is being delivered. I also take this opportunity to welcome the lecturers of today, our very own, the Dean of Students of this great university, Professor Osadolo Benson, and the Director General, National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, NAPTIP, Dame Julie Okadonle, Esquire, special guests and friends of the University of Benin. Youth migration is a topical issue at the front burner in Africa and other continents, which has attracted renewed governmental attention because of its multifarious impact in our society, threatening all aspects of development and human existence. Most disheartening is the copious emerging difference between the young people, their sphere of influence, their families and communities leaving their natural base. This lecture will provide a platform for discussion, advocacy, and the way forward on this topical issue, which touches every aspect of life. Ladies and gentlemen, like you are already aware, Capt. Idahosa, as is popularly called, is an astute and successful businessman who has provided jobs for a large number of persons, and someone who is not afraid to tread new grounds. With a host of companies and businesses to his credit, blazing with his Midas touch, the University of Benin is proud of this worthy ambassador who has done well in businesses of the air, sea, and land. Management is hereby taking this opportunity to crave your indulgence as our distinguished alumnus to print your name in the sands of time by building a legacy here in the University of Benin that will outlive all of us in this hall today and immortalize your good name for generations to come. I must acknowledge the committee that has put this program of event together, headed by Mr. Kingsley Okunbo, for your spontaneous knack for the excellence and attention of details. We also deeply appreciate the committee for the provision of 1,000 copies of the senior and junior staff regulation books. We are greatly delighted to host this public lecture, and on behalf of the University of Benin Management, I again welcome Captain Dr. Idahosa Okunbo and all our guests to Univers. We wish you a great time of knowledge sharing and look forward to a wholesome future for achieving sustainable development and an enabling environment that will impact positively on our youth. Captain Idahosa, Edo State loves you, Uniben loves you, and Umuedo Documentary loves you. Thank you, and God bless you all.
Vice Chancellor. Ladies and gentlemen, please let's put our hands together for Mr. Vice Chancellor, please. Uniben students, if those from town don't clap for your VC, won't you clap for your VC? Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Thank you. We want to go straight to the very first lecture. And this very lecture titled Youth Migration, Deportation, Rehabilitation, the Way Forward. Please, we'll just have a bio sketch. Because of time, we'll have a bio sketch of the guest lecturer today. I respectfully invite her to please stand up to take the bio sketch, please. Very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the very beautiful, very elegant, very fantastic looking lady to my left, our guest lecturer today, is an indigene of Bayelsa State, holds a degree in law from the Ahmadu Bello University Zaria, and was called to the Nigerian bar in 1992. She is a highly motivated and result-oriented management and legal expert with over 25 years of invaluable experience with top-notch managerial and leadership skills and excellent analytical and communication skills. She has held many positions in government and in the private sectors, including Manager, Security and Exchange Commission, SEC, Company Secretary and Legal Advisor, Nigerian Capital Market, Head, Abuja Regional Office, UBA Trustees PLC, Deputy Head of Chambers, Legal Resources Alliance, and Executive Assistant to the Governor of Bayelsa State between 2007 and 2012. Before her present appointment, she was a principal partner, Julie Oka & Co., a legal practitioner. She is a fantastic and a great philanthropist and has engaged in a number of charity works and is the founder of Julie Donley Kidney Foundation. She is the author of the book, Parenting in the 21st Century. A woman of many parts, fellow Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators, International FCIS, fellow Certified Institute of Oceanians, FCIA, and Associate Chartered Arbitrations of Nigeria, ACARB. She is a member of the Nigerian Bar Association, International Bar Association, Nigerian Institute of Management, Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, Institute of Chartered Arbitrators of Nigeria, and the Chartered Institute of Oceanians, Nigeria. She is blessed with 2 wonderful children. Since assumption of office as Director General, the following milestones have been achieved: getting the government of Nigeria to extend the whistleblowing policy to human trafficking issues, establishment of a rapid response squad, NAPIP RRS, establishment of a reform unit to ensure prompt service delivery, anti-corruption and gender balance, establishment of a new zonal command in the southwestern state of Osun, and piloted a joint operation between the personnel of NAPIP and the UK Border Police at the Heathrow and Gatwick airports in the United Kingdom. Commencing massive awareness creation across the country, and is set to establish a regional academy on trafficking in persons in Nigeria. She was recently honored as a Knight of the Blessed Virgin Mary by the Anglican Church of Nigeria. In fact, I have it on good authority that she is the most admired public service officer in this country. Very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, to give the very first public lecture today in honor of Captain Dr. Idahosa Okunbo is the very delectable and beautiful Director General of NAPIP, Dame Julie Oka Donley Esquire. Please welcome her with a standing round of applause, please.
Thank you very much. The chairman of this ceremony, our celebrant and distinguished ambassador of NAPIP, Captain Idahosa Okunbo, the Vice Chancellor of this institution, and all principal officers of the university, representatives of His Majesty, the Oba of Benin, His Royal Majesty, very distinguished personalities here present, great students of Uniben, the great Nigerian students here present, my fellow lecturer, Professor Osadolo, not my lecturer, sorry, a lecturer here today, the gentlemen of the press, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Today I'm going to be talking about youth migration, deportation and rehabilitation, NAPTIP's rehabilitation plan. There's a brief outline here. I was hoping I was going to use the slide, but it's not going to serve the purpose, so I'll just run with my paper. Thank you very much. On the brief outline, I have the concept of migration, types of migration, causes of migration, scope, the youth migration, threats in migration, recent issues in migration in Africa, consequences, deportation and repatriation, NAPTIP and migration, NAPTIP rehabilitation and sheltering services, NAPTIP milestones, the way forward, tackling the root causes in both origin and destination countries, and the conclusion. The concept of migration. Human migration is the movement of people from one place to another with the intention of settling permanently or temporarily in a new location. The movement is often over long distance and from one country to another. But internal migration is also possible. Indeed, this is the dominant form globally. It is as old as mankind. And when we look into the holy books, examples abound on the migration of people from one place to the other for various reasons, including the search for greener pastures. Many nations, countries, cities, and villages evolved as a result of this act of migration. Sometimes people are forced to migrate due to war, famine, slavery, or even in search of knowledge. Today people still migrate, and the pattern has remained from the undeveloped to the developed, from the point of lack to the point of plenty. Due to globalization, shrinking borders, and availability of easier means of transportation, migration has been made easier and has inadvertently created problems both for the source and destination countries. These problems also have their attendant effects on the migrants. The types of migration. We have the internal migration within a national border, especially from the rural areas to the cities, from one state to another. Majority of the people engage in this for the sole purpose of getting a better life. International, this is done across national borders from one country to another. This is further classified into two, the regular and irregular migration. This presentation will deal more with international migration. The regular migration is the act of departing or exiting from one state or country with a view to settling in another with necessary authorization or documents required under immigration regulations. The irregular migration, on the other hand, is according to the IOM, defines irregular migration as the entry, stay or work in a country without the necessary authorization or documents required under the immigration regulations. There are two main types of irregular migration: smuggling of migrants, or SOM, and human trafficking. However, regular migration could turn into an irregular one, especially when a person's stay in another country is no longer within the accepted immigration regulations, e.g. expired documents and so on. This is a form of migrant movement that is facilitated with the agreement of the migrant and usually with payments from the migrant for smuggling services. Smuggling can be exploitative and dangerous, fatal but not coercive. Here, the prospective migrant approaches the migrant smugglers, or tour operators as they call themselves, and they strike a deal on how to facilitate his movement into the desired country. Smuggling of migrants may eventually lead to human trafficking. The smuggled migrants who is stranded in the destination country could run into the hands of human traffickers who offer help, and then exploitation starts. Human trafficking. The United Nations Protocol to prevent, suppress, and punish trafficking in persons, especially women and children, supplementing the United Nations Convention Against Transnational Organized Crime, defines trafficking as the recruitment, transportation, transfer, harboring, or receipt of persons by means of threats or use of force or other forms of coercion, abduction, fraud, deception, abuse of power, or of a position of vulnerability, or of giving or receiving of payment or benefit to achieve the consent of a person or a person having control over another person for the purpose of exploitation. All of these acts together constitute human trafficking. So there is no excuse that I only transported the victims from point A to point B. The carriers of the victims from in his vehicle also commits an act of human trafficking, as well as those who harbor them in their houses before they are finally trafficked and redistributed. The elements of human trafficking are: 1, the act of recruitment, transportation, harboring, or receipt of a person; the means, the threat or use of force, coercion, abduction, fraud, deception, abuse of power or vulnerability, or giving payments or benefits to a person in control of a victim. The purpose is for exploitation, and this includes exploitation for prostitution of others, which is sexual, forced labor, slavery, or similar practices, and now removal of organs for sale in the black market. Human trafficking or trafficking in persons involves aspects of migration, labor, gender, and criminality. It may or may not involve the crossing of the international borders, in contrast to migrant smuggling. When trafficking occurs within the borders of one country, it is internal trafficking, while international trafficking involves crossing of international borders. Trafficking works on the basis of debt bondage imposed on the victim by the trafficker in order to pay their expenses. This is made worse by the administration of oath on the victims by juju priests at the behest of the traffickers and their agents. Human trafficking starts with the recruitment and ends with exploitation of the victims. It is extremely difficult for the victims of human trafficking to escape and denounce the system that has trapped them, due to the fear of the oaths taken, as well as the danger that might befall their families. Human trafficking is usually underreported and given very low priority by governments at all levels. At times, prosecution of traffickers is very difficult, and their conviction is based on witness or victim testimony, which is hard to obtain because of the control mechanisms adopted by traffickers. The most popular being the use of juju by traffickers to control the victims. The causes of migration. Migration usually occurs by a combination of causes that have been grouped into the push and pull factors. The push factors are those conditions in one's country that make the individual aspire to leave. The pull factors, on the other hand, are those conditions in the desired country that attract the individual to want to go there. The push factors are poverty, low wages, lack of opportunities and economic hardship, ignorance, greed, peer pressure, dysfunctional homes, land dispossession, insurgency and war, social marginalization, climate change, internal conflict, political unrest, and so on. The pull factors are perceived better opportunities elsewhere. Availability of opportunities like cheap labor, lack of workers for available jobs, power of the foreign currencies against the local currency, good social security measures, positive economic situation, political and social stability, good social infrastructure, investments made by migrants, especially in real estate. This is a great motivation for young persons here in Nigeria. Legalization of prostitution at the destination countries, and pornography, and so on. The scope of migration. The United Nations estimates that no fewer than 214 million people live outside their country of origin. About 40% of the total global migrant population have moved to a neighboring country within their region of origin, while every day many skilled and unskilled migrants join the rank of migrant workers. However, the reality is that many of these people are in those countries illegally and therefore are without legal status and are natural targets of exploitation. The youth migration, young people, make up about a quarter of migrants worldwide. According to Youth Supplement of the United Nations for Population Fund Agency, State of the World Population Report 2007. If the definition of youth includes young people up to the age of 29, then young people represent half of the global migrant flows. Many youths migrate in search of greener pastures and better earnings, or so they think. Research has, however, revealed that about 30 million Africans live outside the continent, and the number continues to grow daily. This phenomenon deprives Nigeria of her most energetic, feisty, and entrepreneurial citizens. Oftentimes they contribute remarkably to the development of their host countries, while their original countries stagger in underdevelopment and backwardness. Youths who are often misguided migrants are disappointed when they dispose of their meager belongings and arrive at their destinations, only to find that indeed, as migrants, they have to work extra hard to find a means of living and earn the kind of income they desire. Most times, they do not even earn, as they can only get dirty, dangerous, and difficult jobs by virtue of their irregular status. Migrants most times end up being trafficked and smuggled abroad, just like the case of Nigerians in Libya. In recent times, about 5,000 Nigerians were discovered to have been trafficked, smuggled to Libya, and the federal government has commenced their evacuation back to the country. So far, 2,114 have been safely returned. These migrants also end up in other parts of Africa and Europe for forced labor, sexual exploitation, and other forms of mistreatment, including organ harvesting. In recent years, migratory pressure has increased and is expected to intensify further in the coming decades due to the increase in unemployment, insecurity, and poverty level, amongst others. This will in turn lead to an increase in the exposure of young people to exploitation, trafficking, blackmail, and discrimination in their bid to migrate. The issue of continuous movement of migrants, both legal and illegal, to developed countries, especially the United States, has continued to generate debates in various arenas. The terrorist attacks of September 11, 2001, to a large extent has changed the traditional image of migrants, which was that of an individual seeking for greener pastures and working hard in order to provide for his or her family back home. Today, many see the migrants as a threat to their jobs, social amenities, and even security of the host country. To this end, the migrant faces various threats which make it difficult to survive or even to make ends meet. Some of the threats that hamper a migrant survival, especially illegal migrants, are fear of deportation, loss of income, access to economic and social rights, as well as benefits of education and health systems that are denied by host countries, abuse on the job, xenophobia, human rights violation, racism, blamed first for increase in crime rates in the host countries. They are easy prey for organ harvesters. They are easy targets for flesh traders, drug lords, and human traffickers. As a result of the mindset of our youths that the grass is greener in other countries, irregular migration is on the increase in Nigeria and Africa generally. travel through the desert either by individual migrants or in groups as scheduled by the smugglers last many days and weeks before arriving their designated camps, where they are exploited while waiting to continue to the desired destinations. The movement is usually tedious as it is irregular and therefore cannot be made through the appropriate entry points. Crossing the desert, this is most tedious, with an average of 160 persons tucked at the back of lorries and batches of 50 stacked at the back of pickup vehicles. They set out, spending days and nights, with some dying and dropping out of the vehicles out of exhaustion without being picked up. Crossing the Mediterranean Sea, this is the most dangerous and risky, as what usually stands between the migrants and Europe. When they get to the North African countries is the Mediterranean Sea. To cross it with rickety and rubber boats provided by smugglers with hundreds of migrants inside these plastic boats. Most times the boats capsize, sometimes they sink, sometimes they are deliberately shot at to sink them. Thousands of migrants, including Nigerians, have perished that way. The most recent one was the celebrated 26 girls whose bodies were found in a Spanish warship after they were retrieved and taken to Italy. We were initially told that they were all Nigerians, but later the story changed. We were informed that only 3 were properly identified as Nigerians. Until date, the identities of the girls are not known, as they were traveling in an irregular manner without travel documents. A report of the IOM estimates that about 37,500 Nigerians arrived in Italy by boats in 2016 alone, more than any other African countries. Migration, whether legal or illegal, creates an impact on nations, societies involved, whether destination or source. Some of these effects include brain drain, depletion of human resources, that's the workforce, economic depression, underpopulation, overpopulation, negative image before the international community, limited social amenities in destination countries, increase in crime rates, increase in occurrence of human rights violation cases, untimely death by migrants, especially irregular ones, deportation and repatriation. Federal government of Nigeria has over the years demonstrated its determination and commitment to ensuring the safety of lives and property of Nigerian citizens living outside the country. The latest was the prompt response to stranded Nigerians in Libya following the public outcry over reported enslavement of Nigerian citizens in that country. Government recently commenced the evacuation of Nigerian citizens in that country. In fact, 2,114 have been evacuated back to Nigeria since January 2018, when the evacuation commenced. And this is a work in progress. It is on record that out of the 2,778 Nigerian migrants who make up the list of Nigerian migrants registered in accessible detention camps in Libya, no fewer than 1,400 traced their origin to Edo State. These are the camps that can only be accessed for now, prosecute suspects of human trafficking, counsel and rehabilitate victims of human trafficking, enlighten the public and liaise with partners to eradicate human trafficking in Nigeria. NACTIP is always ready to provide solutions that reduce illegal migration to the barest minimum and collaborates with relevant organizations that would help to achieve this goal. For NACTIP, reduction in the rate of illegal migration also means reduction in the number of trafficked victims. NACTIP has 10 shelters at various locations within the country. The shelters are attached to the Abuja headquarters and the 9 zonal commands. The locations are Abuja, Benin, Lagos, Enugu, Osogbo, Uyo, Kano, Sokoto, Maiduguri, and Makurdi. The shelters offer the following services to victims: sheltering, counseling, rehabilitation, provision of psychosocial therapy, provision of medicals, family tracing, reunification, training in vocational skills, provision of educational programs, entrepreneurial skills, empowerment, and follow-up care. NAPTIP has so far convicted 339 persons, many cases still pending in courts, and investigations of many still ongoing. Over 13,000 victims have passed through the NAPTIP shelters. They were given psychosocial support, provided skills, education, medical support, empowerment, and reintegrated to their families and society. We have many victims who have graduated from tertiary institutions. In fact, in the last 6 months, 3 of such have graduated from the universities, with one of them having a second-class degree, upper division in accounting. These are all under the sponsorship of NAPTIP. Development and publication of the National Policy on Protection and Assistance to Trafficked Persons in Nigeria. This document has been adopted by ECOWAS member states for care and support to victims of human trafficking. We have developed and published the guideline on national referral mechanism for protection and assistance to trafficked persons in Nigeria. We have also become a training ground for other countries, including the European countries, to learn good practices in the fight against human trafficking, as a number of them now send their officials on a study tour of NAPTIP with a view to establishing a similar agency in their countries. Recently concluded work with the Nigerian Educational Research and Development Council on the infusion of trafficking in persons issues into the curricula of primary and secondary schools in Nigeria. We are waiting final approval by the National Council of Education. We are working on the establishment of a regional training academy. A training resource center is already on ground, and a skills acquisition center as well. We have also commenced a 30-minute news magazine program on television titled NAPTIP on the Move on NTA International at 8:30 p.m. every Wednesday. We've raised the consciousness of the Nigerian public on issues of human trafficking through massive awareness creation and so on. And interestingly, we have engaged the Juju priests to denounce human trafficking and revoke all the oaths earlier administered on victims and to become ambassadors for NAPTIP. And what is the way forward? Migration is not bad in itself, because there are various opportunities and ways in which Nigeria as a country can tap into this phenomenon to bring developments to the country rather than simply restricting mobility. Migrants do not have to return permanently to make a contribution to development, but oftentimes young Nigerian migrants are misguided to believe that life is always better and more rosy abroad, and some believe that money can be picked on the streets of Europe. There is need for governments at all levels to come up with transformational programs and a national orientation and reorientation of the mindset of youth. A program that will change people's attitude to migration. Without this, an attitude crisis will be another major driving force for illegal migration. Something fundamental must be done to control and contain the illegal movement of people out of poor countries, and incentives introduced for those willing to stay and work at home. A crucial step forward is to help to reorientate and re-educate the average Nigerian youths to make them realize that they can actualize their potentials and dreams at home, and that they are not necessarily poorer than their contemporaries abroad or in the country they migrate to. Government should take steps to address all the identified push factors, including mass employment, development and maintenance of infrastructure, strengthening the economy, provision of social security, public enlightenment programs, development of self-esteem and patriotism, Nigeria first. There is an urgent need for countries of origin and destination to work together simultaneously to address the root causes, to ensure the eradication of human trafficking and irregular migration. Prosecution at source and destination countries is very important, as we must jail offenders and follow their money for the benefit of victims. What am I trying to say here? Most of the time, when we talk about human traffickers, the destination countries refer to the Nigerian human traffickers. And I ask them a simple question. What about the European human traffickers? Because the Nigerian human traffickers cannot walk alone. It is a chain of traffickers, and you need to prosecute your traffickers, confiscate their assets, freeze their funds, and repatriate it back to Nigeria, because it belongs to the victims of trafficking. And that is what I'm trying to achieve. The following could be done to tackle the problems of irregular migration and human trafficking by Nigeria and destination countries. Strengthening existing partnership between Nigeria and destination countries based on mutual respect, signed MOUs, seizure and confiscation of assets of traffickers through judicial processes, as well as their forfeiture to the victims of trafficking trust fund. Investigation and prosecution of nationals of destination countries who are involved in the crime. There should also be full disclosure in their prosecution to assure us that the issues of prosecution is not one-sided and that no one is playing lip service to the fight against human trafficking and irregular migration. Make and enforce laws and policies to curb the demand for illicit sex and issues that encourage trafficking of people, especially young women. Take steps to curb the use of victims as mere property and criminalize such activities. Victims of human trafficking must be treated in accordance with the letters of the Palermo Protocol. They must be treated as victims of crime and assisted rather than treated like criminals. Establishment of frameworks for safe and humane return of victims of human trafficking who volunteer to return. Deepening exchange of information and intelligence, mutual legal assistance, and joint operation. In concluding, I want to say, the grass might seem greener elsewhere, but in reality, it might end up being an illusion. If you must travel, do it legally. Ensure that you have your documents and know your rights in the country you plan to visit. It is also important to note here that we as individuals should think of ways of building our country up to the standard of those we desire to go to. Finally, Nigerian youths and all countrymen and women, please join hands with NAPTIP to stop irregular migration and human trafficking, and together we shall win. Join the fight and make a change. Thank you very much. I would want to quickly call one of our victims, who I call a survivor, to come and share her story briefly with the youth here. Thank you very much for listening.
Wow. Wonderful.
Please, cameras should not be on the victim. All cameras off, please. The survivor, she's here to testify. Please, absolute confidence, please. Keep your phones, no filming, no cameras, please. Please do respect the dignity of this my dear sister. Cameraman, thank you. Please, can you take your seats now?
Thank you.
Sir.
Please all phone to the golden pole. No filming, no recording. Cameraman, please take notes. All right. So welcome Professor Mike to do the needful. Thank you.
chair.
Love to know everyone. I want to advise the youth concerning human trafficking. Trafficking is bad. I have experienced what I've experienced in life. That is what I'm going to speak on. I traveled to Italy. I used a land, traveled through the land, through Libya. 2010. I traveled down to the place through a ship. Before I went to Paris. Through Paris, I traveled down to Italy. I take a train. They now sold me to another madam. So I want to advise the youth. I swear on an oath. They take my finger, my private parts, and the hair of my hair, my fingernails, the blood of my hand. They take everything, and my pants. They tied my face before to the shrine. I did not see anything when they are doing it before I traveled from this Benin. And I went down to Italy. They give me to a woman. His name is Madam Charity. I was staying with her sister. We are 20 in one room, sleeping in one bed. If you come first, you will sleep. If you did not come, you will not sleep. You will sit down. He wounded me in my hand, even in my teeth. The day I will walk, he will not beat me. The day I will not walk, he will go and call his friends. They will start beating me. Say, you didn't bring money today. So he did all those things. I paid $40,000 US for him. Nothing. At the end of the day, they deported me to Nigeria. I have nothing. It's Natic who even helped me for learning skill. That is a catering. So I'm still expecting them to open my own shop for me so that I can have my own shop. So I'm advising the youth to stay away from Natic. Because you people need that money from your children. They will take 16 years old to madam. They will take 40 years old to madam. You don't know what they are going to take them to do there. So I'm advising the women in this place. So I beg you, mother, you should stop taking your children to trafficking. I advise you all. Thank you very much.
Let's put our hands together for her. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Please, let's put our hands together for her. Thank you. Thank you. On a very serious note, he's talking to the youths in behavioral science. The category we refer to as the productive. It is the youth. If you take a look at this hall right now, nearly 75% are made up of youths. Please listen, it's not a joking matter. She wasn't joking. This is sometimes when you see it on the social media, on your WhatsApp page or your Facebook page, you think it's just a joke. You heard a first-hand experience. Someone who encountered, suffered through the horrendous experience that she had, and she's sharing with you. Please do take notes. And once again, I want to very sincerely commend her courage, commend her doggedness to kickstart her life again, and to especially commend NAPTIP for being there for her. Please let's put our hands together for the little NAPTIP. Thank you so much. Just to let you know that this public lecture we have today is actually in honor of a key investor in Nigeria, a farmer, a industrialist, a patriot, a philanthropist, a pathfinder, cultural and arts promoter, a man of honor, integrity, hard work, a visionary, a man with unusual courage, a proud father of amazing children, and a great husband. Captain, Dr. Idahosa Okunbo. Let's put our hands together one more time for him. Thank you so much. And let me just share this with you. This is from the governor of Edo State. He described Captain Osa as a dogged, hard-working son of the state. And I quote him, "I will say he is a real patriot and a genuine Benin man. He is a great Edo citizen, somebody who has accomplished through things of hard work. His accomplishments are self-made. And what is great about him that most people don't know is that he is very empathetic. He can barely see people in need, languishing or suffering, and he is not pricked to assist. Maybe that is why they say he is a philanthropist. He is also very kind-hearted, very forgiving, a very pragmatic businessman, a cultural icon, and someone so many people are indebted." The governor continued. He said, "He is also a person who believes in progress, development of other people and the state. He is a restless entrepreneur who is pushing the frontier of business, taking risks, trying new things, and time has shown that he is a real survivor." On this day, his 60th birthday, all of us, the government and people of Edo State, wish this fine, quintessential gentleman, an icon of our community, happy birthday and many happy returns. We pray that the Almighty God will continue to guide him, give him good health, sustain his acumen, and bless his family so that he can live to a ripe old age in happiness. Congratulations, Executive Governor of Edo State. And so, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, very quickly. Okay. Hold on. Let's do it properly. 1, 2, go. Happy birthday to you. Stop that. Okay. The one they wanted to sing is, "Hey, happy birthday." Okay. Hey, happy birthday. Happy birthday.
Hey, happy birthday.
Happy birthday. All right, thank you, Professor Olodawa. All right, thank you. We want to recognize Honorable Saze Osewige Ero, Commissioner for Arts, Culture, Tourism and Diaspora Affairs, Edo State. You're welcome, sir. We also want to recognize Mrs. Regina Iyoha, representing the Commissioner for Ministry of Women Affairs. Madam, you're welcome. In the same vein, we recognize Barrister Emmanuel Uso, the Honorable Commissioner. Okay, I'll get his office in a few minutes. Thank you. Honorable Chris Okaibe, member Edo State House of Assembly. Thank you for coming. Very specially, we recognize Professor Mrs. Yinka Omorobe, the Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice, and also the Chairman Task Force Against Trafficking Persons in Edo State. Thank you so much for coming. Barrister Emmanuel Uso, Honorable Commissioner for Wealth Creation and Employment, Edo State. Thank you for coming. We appreciate your presence. Also recognize the Director of Special Duties for National Association of Nigerian Students, Comrade Victor Arigwe. Thank you for coming. Honorable E.J. Agboyima, you are welcome. We do recognize your presence. But just permit me to quickly let you know that the committee organizing that put together this event made a donation of 1,000 copies of the senior and junior staff regulations of this university to the university. That means 1,000 copies each. Of course, that number is inadequate. And just when the celebrant, Captain Osa, came into this venue, we sort of just whispered it to him. And his usual benevolent, magnanimous nature, he has ordered the donation of 12,000 more copies of the junior and senior staff regulations to our university. Please, let's put our hands together for him, please. Let's put our hands together for him. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you very much. Okay, we've talked. We have just a playlet, and I want to respectfully invite our great students of the University of Benin from the Theatre Arts Department for just about 5-10 minutes. Just a playlet, please. Let's have them if they are ready. Playlet depicting this whole program, especially trafficking in human persons and the consequences of such activities. All right, are we ready? Let's go. All right.
Down.
I think they deserve a standing ovation, ladies and gentlemen. Whoa! Wonderful.
These are students of the great University of Benin. They are not done yet, hold on. Let's put our hands together for them one more time. Put our hands together for them. Fantastic job, fantastic. If members of the high table are on their feet, please put your hands together with a standing ovation, everybody. Standing ovation. These are students of the University of Benin Theatre at Sekema campus. Put your hands together for them one more time. Yes. And nothing, that is a very, very, very interesting and an eye-opener for our youth, for our parents, for everybody. Thank you. Greatest. Thank you.
Can we put our hands together for ourselves, ladies and gentlemen? The greatest university student. Blessed. I remember those days when I was trying to do things like this. But by profession, I think I ought to be addressed as a professor. Am I right? Professor Maleki, based on my field of specialization. Am I right? And that is why I want to introduce my fellow prof. You know, you are Prof. Mike. You are into academy and master of ceremony. And we into comedy and music and anyhow. Ladies and gentlemen, let me welcome my own professor to just take a bow. Another great man. Make some noise for Idahosa in the building. All right. Like I said, like I said, I have my own colleague who will be our own line. You know, you've been doing it. You should come on board right now. I think it will be called another atmosphere. Ladies and gentlemen, I have another professor. I can see him there. Okay, when he comes back, I'm going to make an introduction. Thank you. Professor Mike, do your academical way. We'll do our comedy way.
Thank you very much, Maliki. As an academic professor, I don't know whether to call you Professor Maliki. All right, very distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Very quickly, let me recognize Professor Yamo, the Dean of the Faculty of Education. Sir, you're welcome. Chairman, CEO, Emirates Logistics Nigeria, Prince Benson Oluwaje, you're welcome. Also, okay, I had earlier introduced him, but Honorable Chris Okaibe, member of the State House of Assembly, you're welcome. I want to quickly take the next lecture. If I tell you who to give this lecture, you will not shout A again. All right, and this time it is titled Stemming the Tide of Youth Migration, a Viable Alternative, to be delivered by Professor Reverend Osareme Benson Osakolo. Please, sir, just a bio sketch of him. Please, respectfully invite you to stand here while I take a very... Thank you very much, thank you. Okay, standing before us, resplendent in the academic gown, is a professor in the Department of History and International Studies, the University of Benin, with bias in African history and specializes in historiography and historical research methods, military and security studies at the University of Benin. Professor Osareman Benson Osadolon, Dean of Students of the University of Benin. Professor Osadolon has won several laurels, prizes and grants, and has distinguished himself as a scholar of international repute with academic distinction and honors. He was a Fulbright scholar at Morgan State University, Baltimore, Maryland, United States of America between 2008 and 2009 academic section, with engagement in the African Seminar at the Johns Hopkins University, Baltimore. He won 2 awards from the Council for International Exchange of Scholars, Washington, D.C., as an occasional scholar to Western Michigan University, Kalamazoo, Michigan, and San Diego State University, San Diego, California, in 2009. He is the African Academic Consultant to the Art History Museum, Vienna, Austria, on Benin exhibition, Benin Kings and Rituals, called Arts from Nigeria, held at the Museum for Volkskunde, Vienna, Austria, and subsequently in Paris in 2007. Also in Berlin, Germany in 2008, and at the Arts Institute of Chicago, USA, 2008. He was a German academic exchange scholar at the University of Hamburg, Germany, 1995. And a laureate of the Government Institute 1994 of the Council for the Development of Social Science Research in Africa, CODESTRA, based in Dakar, Senegal. He won the UNESCO African Grant for participation in the Pan-African Colloquium on educational innovation in post-colonial Africa at the University of Cape Town, South Africa in 1994, and several other grants for projects and conferences in Europe and Africa. He delivered the 2011 Foundation Day lecture of Igbinedion University, Okada. He was also a resource person at Lagos at 50. He gave a keynote lecture when Lagos celebrated its 50th anniversary. He is a member of Senate of the University of Benin and has served as head of the Department of History and International Studies between 1st of July 2010 to 30th of June 2013. He is currently serving in many university committees and at present the chairman ceremonial committee of the University of Benin. He has served as a resource person during the 2014 National Conference, Abuja, and was a member of the committee on the final report of the 2014 National Conference, Abuja. He is currently the #1 student of this great university with matriculation number DOS 00000001. In his capacity as the Dean of Student Affairs, University of Benin, a position he has held since 1st of July 2016. He is a member of the Historical Society of Nigeria, the African Studies Association in Germany and United States, and the Canadian Association of African Studies. Very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is this ebullient scholar, this fantastic gentleman, a man of God, a Reverend, Professor, Reverend Benson Osadolon, that I have the honor to call upon to please deliver the second lecture in commemoration of the birthday of Captain Dr. Idahosa Okunbo, titled Stemming the Tide of Youth Migration, a Viable Alternative. Professor Benson Osadolon, please.
host and chairman, Engineer Professor F.F.O. Orumese, the Vice Chancellor of the University of Benin, our distinguished honorary alumnus, the celebrant, Captain Dr. Idahosa Okunbo, principal officers of the University of Benin, our distinguished guest lecturer, His Royal Majesty, Omonobaneto Nkwa Akpolokpolo, Oba Atokbe, here represented by palace chiefs, other palace dignitaries here present, my lords, spiritual and temporal, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, our own very humble and dearly beloved administrator of the Edo Forum of Patriots, Mr. Ayamehu Edukolo, students of the University of Benin, gentlemen of the press, ladies and gentlemen. The title of my lecture is Stemming the Tide of Youth Migration, a Viable Alternative. Let me begin by saying that one of the most interesting aspects in the study of population sciences in all ages of history is the research on migration. That is, the research on the movements of persons across borders, the outflow of literature, as well as the facts and figures on the general migration trends shows that young people represent half of the global migrant flows. The migration trends in recent years have raised issues on the motives, challenges, opportunities, and the aftermath of the migration of young people from Africa, particularly Nigeria. The daily struggles and experiences of the African youths on the move have also necessitated the need to identify policies and programs or strong measures that should be taken in addressing this migration phenomenon. Hence, my lecture is titled, Stemming the Tide of Youth Migration, a Viable Alternative. The high rates of youth migration and what should be done about it in Nigeria has been of great concern to Captain Dr. Idahosa Okunbo. The Diamond Jubilee of his birthday celebrations in 2018 has brought all of us together to discuss the problem of youth migration, consequences, and current realities. This lecture is a contribution to the international debate on the youth migration with focus on a viable alternative as a choice or possible solution which might work. This is because with over 200 million youth population, African nations have a huge task ahead of them, giving the revelation that by 2040, half of the world's youth population will be Africans. The year 2040 is 22 years from now, and with an explosive population of young people from Africa, many analysts think that migration may be definitely unavoidable. If you are to work with a database from demographic research, the time is now to plan and evolve policies that will stem the tide of youth migration from Nigeria. According to the American clergyman, Nobel Peace winner, and civil rights activist Martin Luther King Jr., and I quote, "The time is always right to do what is right," unquote. This is what an American printer, author, diplomat, philosopher, inventor, and scientist Benjamin Franklin put in a different way when he said, and I quote, "You may delay, but time will not," unquote. So, the time is now to talk and talk and talk about stemming the tide of youth migration from Nigeria. Thomas Edison, an American inventor, has said, and I quote him, "Our greatest weakness lies in giving up. The most certain way to succeed is always to try just more time," unquote. Causes of youth migration. Before discussing the possible solution to the tide of youth migration, it is pertinent to examine the motives for youth migration. Migration research commonly assumes that youths migrate as dependent family members or are motivated by current labor opportunities and immediate financial returns. In examining youth migration causes, challenges, and opportunities, SOI Grace Olajide in 2016 identified the various reasons for youth migration across borders. These reasons range from migration of young persons along with their parents who are themselves migrant workers. Secondly, migration with the aim of earning higher wages or more income for personal needs and cater for the needs of their families. Thirdly, migration because they desire better living conditions and quality of life that the current infrastructure in their local environment fail to provide or provide same insufficiently. Other factors that encourage youth or young people to migrate are investments by migrants, especially in real estate, the dynamism of young educated migrants, and high remittances from the African diaspora in Europe and North America. Research has shown that the high rate of poverty in Africa is a contributing factor to youth migration. Most families are poor, and driven by their economic situation, they are misled into believing that traveling abroad is crucial to their survival, and which will elevate them from poverty. Some other writers have identified internal conflicts and wars as possible explanation for youth migration. This school of thought argues that the youth are directly or indirectly affected by conflict and cause some of them to migrate as refugees or to seek asylum. Two strands of interpretation stand out clearly in explaining youth migration. First, the need for them to increase their earning power and improve standard of living. And second, the failure of political leadership in Africa to provide basic infrastructure for job and wealth creation. Rising from the two strands of interpretation is the mentality of foreign aid and consumption. This is how it has affected the Nigerian or African youth that look very promising. First, they seem to have lost their senses. Second, they can no longer create. Third, they depend on other nations of Europe and North America or Asia for their needs. And finally, they just consume whatever comes from abroad. In Africa today, we are losing, if not that we have almost lost the power to create and therefore dependent on others for consumption. I've identified the key drivers of youth migration to include escape from poverty and the desire for better living conditions, and the inability of African leaders to provide basic infrastructure for job and wealth creation. However, the migration process confronts them with particular challenges and confers to them certain vulnerabilities. Most young people migrating from Nigeria to Europe are represented as refugees. asylum seekers, and as unaccompanied minors. Unfortunately, for almost all of them, the migration does not open up new opportunities for a better and decent job, nor are they able to gain professional experience or to pursue personal development. For the kind of menial jobs that the majority of them do, they are not able to acquire skills and competencies that will be beneficial to them and to the country. This is the context in which we need to understand the consequences and current realities of youth migration. For those migrating to Canada and the United States of America, the driving force includes employment and education as new opportunities. For the youth on the move to Europe or North America, the migration experience can end up representing either an opportunity or a risk, and can either lead to their development or the very opposite. In November 2017, 26 Nigerian girls between the ages of 14 and 18 were found dead in the Mediterranean Sea while attempting the dangerous journey of crossing from Libya to Europe. It was a human tragedy. The bodies of the 26 female Nigerian migrants were found by a Spanish warship who brought the bodies to Italy after they were purportedly sexually abused and murdered. This is the report from the Guardian published in Lagos last year. There were reactions in the social media and the mainstream media which condemned the silence of the federal government of Nigeria on the death of the 26 girls. The federal government was slammed for not providing a conducive environment for development of youth in the country. Individuals and other interest groups blamed federal government for the harsh economic situation in the country and urged all the tiers of government to tackle the rising rate of unemployment in order to curb the menace of human trafficking and illegal migration. The Mediterranean Sea has claimed more lives than the tragedy of the 26 young girls. Over the years, many have perished in the sea and in the Sahara Desert in their desperate attempts to seek greener pastures in Europe. However, the outcry over the last tragedy led to the deportation of 142 Nigerians from Libya, and 83 of them were received on Monday, 6 November 2017, by the Edo State government. That was also not the first time that Libya returnees were received in Nigeria or Edo State. All the returnees have tales of woes of their survival and deportation to Nigeria. Although the Edo State government has set up a task force on trafficking, chaired by Professor Mrs. Yinka Omoregbe, who is the Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice, for the purpose of curbing the scourge of human trafficking and modern slavery and rehabilitating returnees. The task is beyond response to the outcry because the challenge is small than what a task force can accomplish. We commend the Edo State government for this first step. The next step will be to work out the strategies and mechanisms for effective delivery of youth development. Right Honorable Yakubu Dugara, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, pointed out recently, and I quote, "If you thought the horrific events that led to the deaths of our girls were appalling, just as we are about to leave Italy, we received the terrifying news that another set of 30 migrants died in the Mediterranean Sea, while 200 were rescued. He explained his disappointment this way, and I quote him: "To our collective shame, these kids or these kinds of deaths have become a recurring decimal, on account of which the Mediterranean Sea has become the cemetery where Africa's future, which our young represent, is buried," unquote. From their findings, Honorable Dugara reported that the deaths are underreported, as the figures, more often than not, do not take into account those deaths for which the corpses are not recovered. In September 2016, the United Nations held for the first time a high-level summit on addressing large flows of refugees and migrants, providing member states with a historic opportunity to come up with a blueprint for a better international response and to bolster efforts towards the achievements of the Sustainable Development Goals. The UN database shows that with some 71 billion youths unemployed globally in 2016, the search for work continues to be a significant driver of youth migration in both developed and developing countries. In the aftermath of the tragic event of November 5th, 2017, concerning the death of 26 Nigerian migrants in the sea, a conference was convened in Italy to discuss women empowerment and the fight against trafficking in persons, the partnership between Nigeria and Italy. Today, the University of Benin is hosting a public lecture on youth migration, consequences, and current realities. As His Holiness Pope Francis has said, and I quote, "Human trafficking is a scourge, a crime against the whole of humanity. It is time to join forces and work together to free its victims and to eradicate this crime that affects all of us, from individual families to the worldwide community," unquote. In the past decades, many youths from Nigeria have chosen on their own or are forced to migrate without valid traveling documents or visa. This has resulted in human trafficking and illegal migration. This is a problem that has been acknowledged by governments and international partners as a major scourge. For the illegal migrants, many have died in the Sahara and many others perished in the Mediterranean Sea. Some of those who survived the Sahara ended up being sold as slaves in Libya. Others were harvested of their human parts. In fact, for many Nigerians, illegal migration has been a risky undertaking. The data needed to enable policymakers in Nigeria to fully understand the role of youth within migration patterns and the specific motivations that drive them are not available. For most of them, the concern is not to acquire skills and competencies to think and to create, but to experience better living conditions. I have read a book titled Power to Create by Tim Redmond, published in 2012, that emphasizes the need to start creating now and begin to enjoy the rewards. The richness of Africa and the unique creation of the continent and the peoples are great assets in the rebirth of African nations. Truth is that developed countries are the main hosts of African migrants who are from the least developed countries. A number of Nigerian youths are residing in Asia, Australia, Europe, and North America who could not create jobs or wealth at home. United Nations World Youth Report, published in 2013, has pointed out that the literature on youth migration and its development impact at the household level and in countries of origin and destination is sparse. The information on human trafficking and illegal migration is also scanty, except when the migration syndicate is smashed. Youth migration, or the illegal migration, has exposed youth, mostly young women, to higher risk of abuse, discrimination, and exploitation. What then is the viable alternative in stemming the tide of youth migration? It is a societal problem, and therefore we begin by examining the policy content of government intervention. We look now at the policy content or context of government intervention. The consideration of a viable alternative in stemming the tide of youth migration must begin with the policy context of government intervention. The starting point is the assessment of the implementation of the second National Youth Policy document of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 2009. The document acknowledges that youth are the greatest assets that any nation can have. Not only are they legitimately regarded as the future leaders, they are potentially and actually the greatest investment for a country's development. The National Youth Policy represents a declaration and commitment of the priorities, directions, and practical support that Nigeria intends to provide for the development of its young men and women. It is a concrete and bold step to put the development and participation of young people at the center of national development efforts. This declaration is an indication of the readiness of the federal government to meet the needs and aspirations of the youth, as well as seek solutions to their problems. The federal youth policy also provides a foundation and direction for a national action plan. It is expected that the plan will describe the role of all agencies concerned with youth development and the programs, services, facilities, activities they undertake to achieve the goals and objectives of the policy. Since independence in 1960, successive governments in Nigeria have initiated programs and projects aimed at the youth. The first attempt to introduce a national youth policy was in 1981, which was followed by the drafting of an inclusive social development policy for Nigeria in 1989, providing the basis for a review of the first policy on youth, which is the second National Youth Policy, 2009. Regrettably, as noted by the federal government itself, by the early 1990s, the efforts at youth development started to suffer tremendous neglect. There were two main reasons for this. First of all, the policy attempts hardly provided a concrete framework for addressing the heightened problems confronting the youth. Secondly, the implementation mechanism of the policy was weak and ineffective. Until 2009, when a new national policy evolved, the nation had not shown any serious commitment to the growth and development of its youths. It became evident that the Nigerian youths are probably the most neglected by their governments. Since 2009 to date, the situation has not changed. This is why we are faced today with the consequences and current realities of youth migration, with an embarrassing upsurge in human trafficking and illegal migration. The challenge for us in Nigeria is to involve policies that create opportunity for youth and build the economy through youth engagement programs. The lack of effective economic and employment policies and insufficient job creation has left many young Nigerians with no option but to migrate to Europe for greener pastures. Thoughts on a viable alternative. The first, policy options. The discourse on the consequences and realities of youth migration has become a national debate in Nigeria. The question is, how do we stem the tide of youth migration? In other words, is there any possible solution which might work? If we accept the fact that we are dealing with youth and society, then we are able to find the possible solution to identify causes of youth migration. Decision makers and all stakeholders must take into account the range of problems faced by the youth, anticipate the challenges that they are likely to confront, and then outline appropriate objectives, policies, programs, and implementation plans that will be put in place for youth empowerment. First of all, attention must be drawn to the second National Youth Policy 2009, and now is the time to ask questions about its implementation. The document may not have been seen by more than 90% of the political class, some of them who are here, and also the document may have been filed away in the federal and state ministries of youth and sports. That is the same policy that provides a foundation and direction for a national youth action plan. Let us not begin to see our young people as a problem, but as a force for transformation. The first national youth policy of 1981 suffered tremendous neglect and eventually discarded. The concern now should be the strategies for the implementation of the second National Youth Policy 2009. Second, the federal and state governments in Nigeria should begin to rethink the overall policy goal of youth development to provide an appropriate framework that will promote the fundamental human rights and overall well-being of youth in order to enhance their participation in the overall development process and improve their quality of life. This will demand an effective and result-oriented policy implementation that will involve the cooperative interaction of all stakeholders, including utility spheres of government, private sector, and civil society organizations, non-governmental organizations, traditional and religious leaders, community-based organizations, and development partners at all levels. Third, as part of the policy implementation process, there must be commitments to mainstreaming youth issues as a development approach. Actually, mainstreaming youth issues should inform the economic agenda, medium and long-term development planning, value orientation, and social transformation, and other development initiatives of government. The creation of opportunities and strategies for addressing the challenges facing the Nigerian youth should be the concern of the whole society. Fourthly, the issue of youth empowerment should be addressed. We recognize the fact that young people are the most important and valuable resource of any nation. Let us carefully understand their conditions, their needs, their interests, the issues, their aspirations, their ideas, and their capacities, and make appropriate provisions for their growth. The obligations of government, therefore, should revolve around assisting youth in reaching their goals and full potential. In the process, government must be sensitive to their needs and difficulties. As a follow-up, The society must respect and accept the contribution of our youth through the use of their talents, their resources, and their ideas. Of course, government must create opportunities for youth involvement in decision-making that affects them, the environment, and society. My second thoughts on a viable alternative: youth civic engagement. The idea of youth civic engagement as a viable alternative to stemming the tide of youth migration provide a basis for policy discussions in order to ensure that young people are able to fully participate and effectively in all aspects of societies in which they live. Over the past 2 decades, youth civic engagement has acquired some prominence in research, policy, and practice in many parts of the world. Youth civic engagement has the potential to contribute to the personal development of young people, particularly to improve their welfare. This lecture draws attention to the significance of civic engagement to youth and society. It is important to note that particular forms of civic engagement relate to the experiences and social positioning of young people with the purpose of getting results. For 1, engage citizenship. 2, positive youth development. 3, belonging. 4, care. 5, justice. All the victims of human trafficking and illegal migration are the youth in the society. Other categories of youth are engaged by politicians as thugs, used in perpetuating violence, or are themselves engaged in crime. How do we then reposition the youth for the less risky behaviors so that they can become more socially adapted individuals for future adulthood? On the one hand, engaged citizenship simply means that civic attitudes, beliefs, and skills should be nurtured among young people. It is a more direct mechanism for linking young people to community needs and a mechanism for their involvement in greater political participation. On the other, positive youth development is the approach towards a positive youth development framework that emphasizes skills development and competency building. This will make them stronger and more resourceful individuals. The idea of positive youth development is linked to 5 characteristics. 1, competence. 2, confidence. 3, character. 4, connection. And 5, caring. It is designed to benefit young people and society. The United Nations Department of Economic and Social Affairs has compiled, generated, and analyzed a wide range of data on youth issues, on which member states of the UN draw to review common problems and to take stock of policy options. The latest United Nations report was published in 2016. And there is at present no evidence that the Nigerian government has pooled its resources to study the report vis-a-vis the second national youth policy document of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 2009. There is need for the Nigerian government to act immediately because the UN report advises interested governments on the ways and means of translating policy frameworks into programs at country level, and through technical assistance helps build national capacities. The United Nations has emphasized 5 key recommendations for youth civic engagement programs. 1, all stakeholders and governments must be explicit regarding the degree of youth participation. In other words, whatever we want the youth to do in the society, let us be explicit in their participation, whether political, economic, or social. 2, their participation must be relevant to their own interests and experiences. If you want the young ones to participate in the economic, political, and the social aspects of our national development, let that participation be relevant to their own interests and experiences. Thirdly, such programs must be action-oriented. Our young people should not be bored with grammar and grammar and grammar and grammar and grammar. But let them be engaged in youth-oriented engagement programs that will enable them to take action and act politically, economically, or socially. Number 4, they value and foster analysis and reflection. In other words, let us begin to teach our youths from schools the principles and values of society, not the display of wealth that may be ill-gotten. And finally, number 5, to provide opportunities for youth and adult partnership. In other words, let us not see our youth as problems. Let adults and youth partner together to find solutions to the problems of youth in society. All that United Nations is talking about is organized efforts that are required to promote youth civic engagements. There should be economic engagement that focuses on the application of learning to social and economic productivity. Also, there is need to expand and enhance entrepreneurship education among the youth and grant them increased access to capital. The political engagement of youth simply refers to their participation and representation in institutional political processes and policy making. We must put in place regulatory mechanism that will facilitate youth participation in politics. Very often today in Nigeria, youth leaders of political parties are in their 50s, in their late 40s. Whereas the youth in Nigeria, who are supposed to hold positions in political parties as youth leaders, are just ordinary members. Those appointed as youth leaders of political parties at different levels, including federal, they are in their 40s. Some are grandfathers, yet they are youth leaders of political parties. However, we must caution our youths against using and manipulating social media through negative engagements that may be counterproductive. This is not to suggest that young people cannot be empowered through social networks. Thoughts on a viable alternative. My third thoughts, the power to create. All those who have been victims of human trafficking or involved in illegal migration have a thought pattern concerning the living conditions in their final destination, which defines their hopes and aspirations. Anyone living in Nigeria as a migrant, legal or illegal, is thinking of the hopes and aspirations in faraway Europe, Eastern Europe or Western Europe. For example, in Nigeria, there have been reported cases of depression and anxiety among young people who were involved in illegal migration, particularly those that were trapped in Libya. Theirs is a tale of woes of their experiences across the Sahara and in Libya. Stemming the tide of youth migration is also to attempt to address the problem of youth unemployment through the promotion of self-employment enterprises. But we must develop in them the power to create. This is what Pastor Chris Yagulomi has referred to in his book, published in 2016 as The Power of a Renewed Mind. He introduces the concept of mind management through new ways of thinking in order to become more productive, successful, and prosperous. According to him, that is Pastor Chris Yagulomi, you can manage your mind and bring forth excellence, greatness, success, and prosperity. Using scriptural references, Pastor Chris Yagulomi emphasizes how important it is for us to manage our minds, as it not only determines the character of our personalities, but the results we get and the quality of our lives. If we must stem the tide of youth migration, we must be concerned about reprogramming the mind of our young men and women. The tendency to get rich quick, to drive exotic cars or SUVs, live flamboyantly, spend money as if there is no tomorrow, must be checked among our youths. Every man or woman is the expression of his or her mind. Your personality is the expression of the contents and working power of your mind. As we discuss issues related to the consequences and current realities of youth migration, let us also begin to talk about mind management of the Nigerian youth for creativity. My thoughts on stemming the tide of youth migration are constructive features of my mind and of the power of my own reasoning. We can help our youth to manage their mind, develop the mind, the power to create and to become all that God has created them to be. The mind is the faculty of our reasoning and thoughts. Let us begin to harness the mental disposition of our youth for creativity rather than leave them on the throes of dependence and consumption. The book titled Ideas That Changed the World, published in 2013, points out that for centuries, most inventions started as the big idea of a single person. About a century ago, universities, big companies, and even governments were helping to develop new ideas and turn them into reality. I just imagine how many more things will be invented by the Nigerian youth who can do amazing things with the power to create. Hello youths. What does it take to be a genius? It might require years of study, endless experiments, and the work of a lifetime. Or it might happen in a moment with a single idea, an idea that changes the world. My conclusion. A combination of several factors has led to youth migration, ranging from the personal considerations to socio-economic circumstances. The driving force is the magnitude of perceived inequalities in the opportunities and living standards between the country of origin and destination. A viable alternative in stemming the tide of youth migration is to address policy intervention, youth civic engagement, and mind management for creativity. We have no alternative than to learn from history, to promote youth development programs that will enhance their value orientation and improve the quality of the lives of our youth. Thank you for listening. God bless you.
Please put your hands together for the guest lecturer, please. Professor Benson Osarime Osadolo. Put your hands together for him. Put your hands together for him. Fantastic lecture. Fantastic lecture. That's a very, very incisive, very, very well-researched lecture delivered by Professor Benson Osarime Osadolo, titled Stemming the Tide of Youth Migration, a Viable Alternative. Please, just to inform you that this lecture, apart from the hard copies that some of you have gotten, that is also on the university website. Please access www.uniben and you'll find these lectures there. Just before, thank you. Just before the theater art students will come again for 5 minutes, and thereafter we are here actually. This lecture has been put together in honor of Captain Dr. Idahosa Okunbo. Yes, but we have not met him. So we will have the opportunity to meet him in a few minutes. Somebody is going to give a very brief citation of this great son of Nigeria. But very quickly, let me recognize I want to recognize in our midst a veteran musician from this state, Louis. Thank you, sir. You see, many of the youths, they don't know. But we know what you are made of. You are welcome, sir. I can also see in the audience the Deputy Registrar, Student Affairs, Barrister Osarime. Thank you. You're welcome. Honorable Pascal Ugbome, thank you for coming. We appreciate your presence, sir. And I also can see in the audience Deputy Bose. Oh, sorry, very quickly before that, the Deputy Bose here representing the Bose of the University, Mr. Emagbe, welcome. Thank you so much, sir. And of course, Pastor Evara, Deputy Bose, is also here in the audience. Welcome. Also from this very vintage position, I can see the President of the Nigerian Society of Experimental Biologists, Director General for Studies, University of Benin, and a member of the Governing Council, University of Benin, Professor Mrs. Uwa Edoson. Madam, you're welcome. So let's invite theater arts students of this great university one more time. Very quickly, just 5 minutes. Thank you. Put your hands together for them, please. Put your hands together for them. Thank you.
Oh!
know why I'm happy? Do you know why I'm dancing? Do you know why I'm dancing like this? The way you are smiling, I think you know.
Yes, I know why you're
dancing.
I know why you're dancing. Once upon a time, I said I want to tell you a story. Once upon a time, in the great belief kingdom, a man was born into a very respected family.
Chancellor, sir, the celebrant, all other protocols duly Idahosa Okunbo. Captain Idahosa Okunbo, fondly referred to by his popular sobriquet, Captain Hosa, was born on the 7th of January 1958 in Benin to the respectable family of the late Reverend Robert Amos Okunbo, a clergyman, teacher, and community leader. Captain Okunbo began his education at government primary school in Benin City, after which he proceeded to the prestigious Federal Government College, Warri, where he obtained his West African School certificate in 1976. Although he is most visible today as a shining beacon of success within and beyond Nigeria's business community, Captain Hosa began his sojourn in public sphere as a trained commercial airline pilot. A man of humble beginnings, Captain Hosa pursued his desire to become a pilot by studying at the Nigerian Civil Aviation Training Center, Zaria in Kaduna State. He graduated as a professional commercial air pilot in 1979 at the age of 21. He is an alumnus of the Aeronautic School, Fort Worth, Texas, United States of America, where he obtained his airline transport pilot license in 1983 and became a certified captain at the young age of 25. Captain Okunbo's professional aviation career began with aero contractors as a co-pilot. He later flew as a captain with Intercontinental Airlines before joining the service of Okada Airlines in 1985. Having logged over 7,500 hours in flying time, the amiable Captain Hosa retired as a commercial airline pilot in 1988 at the age of 30, when his peers were just beginning to wake up. He thereafter ventured into the world of business. His success story on the sea is a different story. He has since broken the glass ceiling with his many accomplishments in the area of marine security and marine logistics. At the foundation of his business trajectory was Hoslin Ventures Nigeria Limited, an indigenous oil field service and procurement firm. He moved into the high-risk area of the oil and gas sector, and with over 50 sea vessels, both for security and crude oil movements. His company, Ocean Marine Solutions Limited, has supported in raising the level of oil production in Nigeria and its sustenance in providing dedicated and efficient security solutions for offshore production assets of the major international oil companies operating in the country. Ocean Marine Solutions Limited has also been involved in the recovery, maintenance, and security surveillance of the Extravos Warri and Bonny Port Harcourt pipeline segments. A man of business versatility, In a time when crude oil delivery from the terminals of the refineries in Nigeria was threatened due to damaged pipelines. PPP, Fluid Mechanics Limited, another venture of his, rose to the occasion, providing crude oil logistics solutions to mitigate the challenge. It is estimated that this crude oil logistics intervention saved Nigeria a whopping sum of $3.2 billion. An inspiring portrait of class and peerless entrepreneurship, Captain Hosa has a myriad of interests in diverse sectors of the Nigerian economy, which include aviation, energy, power, telecommunications, property and real estate, hotel and hospitality, entertainment, and agriculture. The business magnate, investor, philanthropist, and trained commercial pilot serves as either chairman or director on numerous company boards. He is chairman of Ocean Marine Security Limited, a company responsible for offshore assets protection for major oil companies in Nigeria, including the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Corporation, NNPC. He is chairman, Hoslin Ventures and Hoslin Oil and Gas Services Limited, an indigenous oil field services company responsible for the early production facility, EPF project at NNPC and NPDC, 1998 to 2001. He is chairman, PPP Fluid Mechanics Limited, a crude oil logistics company. He is chairman, Westminster Security Solutions Limited, a franchise of Westminster Group PLC, UK. He is chairman, Wells Dredging Limited, a company involved in dredging, sand filling, and shore protection in Nigeria's oil-producing Niger Delta region. He is chairman, Wells Habitat Limited, a company in partnership with the Abuja Environmental Protection Agency in the area of waste management. He is on the boards of Integrated Energy Distribution and Marketing Limited, a company that bought the Ibadan and Yola Power Distribution companies. He is on the board of the Global Scan Systems Limited, a key player in the destination inspection of cargoes in our ports. He is also on the board of Phil Nugent Nigeria Limited, involved in gas processing and oil offshore combination, among so many others. He is also chairman of Natcom Entel, formerly Nitel, and also Funds Electronics Transfer Solutions, providers of electronic payment solutions, amongst others. You remember Hoslin Habitat Limited, a foremost design, construction, and landscaping company. Wells Entertainment Limited, involved in entertainment and movie productions. Wells Carlton Hotel and Luxury Apartments. The New London Carlton Hotel. Fever TV, the most foremost black television station in Canada. For his outstanding contribution to the promotion of peace and good governance, as well as development of his community, Captain Hosa was appointed a Justice of the Peace, JP, in 2007. In November 2012, this citadel of learning, this ivory tower, the University of Benin, conferred on him a doctorate degree in business administration honoris causa. Captain Osa also received the African Titan Award from the Congress of the United States in collaboration with the African Society Summit in recognition of, I quote, strides on behalf of Africa in the international arena. That was in 2012. According to the letter announcing that award, Okunbo had been one of those, according to them, who seek to protect a new and hopeful light on Africa. On October 2nd, 2004, the Oba of Benin recognized and decorated Okunbo with traditional beads for being a worthy ambassador of Benin Kingdom. In March 2016, he was granted Worthy Ambassador of Unity Award as an old student of the Federal Government College, Warri. That same year, he was named Vanguard Business of the Year 2016, among many others. One of his latest endeavors, Sam Carlos Farms. Captain Hosa himself said, "This is what I call my vision, what I call my legacy, something that has been in my dream for some time. I have been nurturing it, working on it for over 5 years now. We have just started. This is very important to me. At my very young age as a pilot, I conquered my profession at the age of 30 and I left. I went into business and by the grace of God, I have done well. With over 60 vessels in the seas, I think I have conquered the sea. I said, before the land takes me, I want to conquer the land. I have started already with a 20-hectare greenhouse at the Benin bypass. The 150 billion naira, $750 million agro enterprise, it's projected to provide 25,000 direct and 60,000 indirect jobs. This is also besides a 20-hectare greenhouse expected to produce 600 tons of vegetable monthly. Captain Hosa has carved a niche for himself and has successfully dug three scores of wells of diamonds. His accomplishments can be summed up in the following words. Captain Hosa, you conquered the air, you conquered the sea, and you conquered the land. Indeed, for the sexagenarian Captain Hosa, it is Veni, Vedi, Vici. He came, he saw, he conquered. A staunch believer in God, well known for his philanthropy and support to religious bodies, Captain Hosa is a caring father, a grandfather, and a devoted husband, happily married to Mrs. Idahosa Okunbo. Give her a round of applause. In the years ahead, as an exceptional citizen of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, he will continue to build on his solid reputation and legacies internationally and domestically. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Captain Dr. Idahosa Okunbo.
Round of applause. Thank you very much, Professor Mrs. Mokoye. Thank you so much. As said, thank you so much. Just today, I want to respectfully invite the Vice Chancellor to please present you a special gift from the university. And then you have just a group photograph with the guest lecturers for today. Thank you. This is a presentation from the University of Benin to be done by the Vice Chancellor to the celebrants today, Captain Dr. Idahosa Okunbo. Please come out. Yes, it's okay. Thank you very much, sir. Please, guest lecturers, please just come over quickly. Please, okay. Turn it that way around, yeah. After it, okay. Management of the university, please quickly join them quickly. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, very quickly, please. Thank you. Please, we are not done yet. Just a few, just another 5-10 minutes will be done, please.
Apostle Sasua, please join us.
Let's go. Go ahead, please. Thank you. Madam Commissioner. Please come over, please. Thank you. No, hold on, one more, please. Okay, madam, please. Okay. Malik, you stay there and I will stay here. Thank you. All right, thank you. Please take your seats, please. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
And so, all right, please hold on. Mr. Pieces, bring the gift.
Can we be seated, please?
A gift for the guest lecturers also. Celebrants. Yeah, the VC is presenting a gift. Okay, please. He is presenting a gift to the guest lecturer. Thank you. Director General of NAPTIPS. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Also to our own DOS, Dean of Students. Mr. Kingsley Okunbo, please quickly come over and get your own. Mr. Kingsley Okunbo, please quickly come over. Okay. Please, Ehio Baseki, quickly come forward, please. Quickly.
Thank you.
Ehio Baseki, please. Thank you.
I'm here, sir.
All right, thank you. So, okay, take your seats. We have a very special treat for you. And Maleke, take it up from there very quickly, please.
All right, please, let's put our hands together for the celebrant. A round of applause. Nigerian students, make some noise for the celebrant. All right. I think we've been able to prove a point that this is why we are here. Like I said before, Professor Mike is a specialist when it comes to education and master of ceremony. And I'm a professor when it comes to career in terms of entertainment. The years when I did this. Oh, but DJ, take it down. Take it down. Thank you. Not be you first, start Grace. Wait. All right. As we are saying, ladies and gentlemen, I'm a prof by profession when it comes to entertainment because the years when I don't take this business, I don't take. And I have my colleagues here, like I said before. And likewise, for all that they said, youth, we did together. If you say make them read my profile now, you go whoa whoa. And you saw his profile. Maleke was the street boy. Maleke was the Zobo chop. I chop his Zobo for real back in the days. But today, I'm relating with presidents, CEOs, and distinguished gentlemen. Una go clap for me first. And I see one of my leader, Last Maswen. And you're not surprised that this same man, he conquered the sea, like they said, he conquered the land, he conquered the hell. He's into entertainment. And this is one of his projects. Last Lord, can you stand up? We'll call him the governor. Please, a round of applause. This man made Nollywood. God bless you. Thank you for coming, sir. I see you, Sarah, former chairman. I see you, EJ. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to call on a professor from my own area of specialization. Because we've been given species from our dean and a wonderful professor from the Lady Arts, and now we not recognize us, we will get problem. Now I want to call on Professor Ambassador Francis to say something. Agoda. Make some noise.
All right. Area. All right. Good afternoon, Your Excellency, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. That is what now. If yes, more than good man. Yes, he's a good man. You never hear the man profile. Ladies and gentlemen, please, let us put your hands together for this celebrant. Augusta, I surprised when as I did when they call date of your birth, 1958. 3 years. Now my papa is senior you. My problem is when you dey pursue money, what my papa they do? Una year 1958. 20 years. The guy don't dey fly plane. 20 something. 30. He retire. Now so man supposed to behave. He works more. He retire. Before I forget, man of God. I see man of God. Man of God. First, let me take my blessing from you. This is very good handshake. This is blessing for prayer. Celebrate. I don't need prayer. They didn't talk and you they empower this, you empower this, you empower this. You save Nigerian government. Jesus. No naira, talk alas. Now you make my father die, yo. When they made that announcement for news, that news says Nigeria government 3 billion, my father never said 3 billion. There is a level you get to in life. Let's see, when they introduce her, just look at him. White and white. No push. No facade. Plain. White and white, just there, very humble. Ogasa, as I see you like this, if I go back like this, my family not happy with me. When they call your profile, now they realize that you're never supposed to sit down your billionaire in dollars, pounds, euro. You see that? You're supposed to die. This fine, don't suppose they call you like this. Professor, thank you very much for the lecture. We are professor. Oh, you don't change wear suit. Thank you for the lecture. You came out, you were giving lecture, you talk. Nigeria no need talk. The youth know the problem. Whether you like, you write 10 book, 8 book, 9 book. They know the problem of this country. And the problem of this country is not caused by the youth, it's caused by our leaders. You talk, you die. You not talk, you die. Let us talk. When I got up, they talk, when I die. We are here to celebrate our father who clocked 70. No. When I say no, or even I say 100, he never looked 70. Malike looked 16. That young man, I suppose you rule. He call me president. That's all I do. This country, I cannot listen to them. This country, they four person, no title, they hear you. My chef, my leader, my this. Now so somebody go hear me if I start with Hami General. My general, I know answer. My general, I know answer. Because the really general there. This country, by Professor, our Nigerian youth, like I said, don't be there cause the problem. The problem is caused by our leaders. I'm sorry to say, I'm not the fear. We don't have leaders, we have dealers. It is really painful. Nigerian youth, they are the only youth that are stranded across all borders across the world. Nigerian youth, and they just stranded past. 1963, we discovered oil in Nigeria. 10 years later, they got discover oil for Dubai. You cannot compare the gap between Nigeria and Dubai today. It's painful. The youth, they run. Everybody they wrong. There is fraud in this country. Big fraud. Federal government go see oil for your land. They go see some. Your Excellency, federal government go see oil for your land. They go see some. Say the oil belong to the government. But when they see it go, farm for your land, that land belongs to you. Before I come out, make I just quickly check the celebrant. Okay, sir, make I quickly check your Jesus Christ of Nazareth. Take the picture well. Take this picture. This photograph alone, you can take land for credit. You can use this photograph as collateral. See your guys, you check me, your hand very soft. You know there is dollars and pounds. The last time Oga saw me, he said I go die, whatever, anytime you have any problem, call me. It's not just a talk. When he talk, you call, he do. He say, call me. I go die, now you tell, say, call me. Don't forget to, if you have problem, okay? everything I get problem with. He not get it there, say if you, as he just say if you, he just me the number, I try and pour, he go. I say thank God. 10 minutes, now the problem. Like one thing about Oga, they pick, he call. You call him, he pick. As I call him, he pick. Who is this? I say, Oga, you don't save my number. Now you call me, it's okay, Ambassador, I go there, how are you? I say, I'm fine. So I got me, the problem don't start. One thing about him, he always tell you, what are you seeing? What you can see. What are you seeing? I tell us, I see total filling station. He say, go there. Tell them you are from Captain. From Captain. I just go there. I say, I'm from Captain. Ghana must go. Naira, I full of Ghana must go. I say, from Captain. Ghana must go. This man never see we jambo. 3 days later, you know, say, yeah, you greeting us for me too. 3 days again, I call him. Oga, I'm here, I go there. How are you? I say, I'm fine. Where are you? I say, I'm in Lagos. What are you seeing? Again, what are you seeing? That time, filling station, Ghana must go. I quick think as a sharp boy. I said, they see Senate Bank. They say, go in, tell them you are from Captain. Now I enter there from Captain. 2 Ghana must go. I say, now so they be, bah! 2 days later, I push her get to go. Now I just call her. Oga me, now me oh, you say come yo anytime oh, you are a problem oh, I'm a problem now. He say, where are you? I say I'm in Abuja. What are you seeing? I say, okay, I'm not just saying. I dey inside Central Bank. He say go there, tell them you are from Captain. I enter there, 4 Ghana must go. Just yesterday, as I come from Warri, now I just call her. Oga me, say yes. You are go there. Where are you? I say, okay, I broke. Where you there? I say, I dey Saple. Where for Saple? I say, I dey the bridge. He say, enter the river. Tell mommy what you are from Captain. You talk, you die. You not talk, you die. Let's talk. The funny thing is, when I'm going to shout, talk and die. Who won't talk, they talk to die. Alright, I'm very happy. And Professor, I really enjoyed your lecture. You touched every angle of your lecture. You talked about the government, you talked about the youth, you talked about the problem and which the federal government can listen to you and tackle this thing, because I believe that every youth in the country is the driving force of any nation. And if the youth are not empowered, they'll become problem. You understand? They can end up like that. Ladies and gentlemen, they call me Agudai. This is Maleke, Ogasa. I'm very proud to see you again from Lagos to Benin. You know, I don't check this hand now. This hand, I'm not going to wash them again. Because they say you conquer the air, you conquer the sea, and you conquer the land. The only thing when you go conquer now, these 2 men, oh. These 2 men need conquer. Oh. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much.
Please can you put your hands together for Francis I Go Die in the building. All right, before I hand over the microphone to my superior, Professor Mike, to continue, I just want to recognize the presence of my friend. Sorry, I know you've recognized him before. Please, let's put our hands together for the former IG, Inspector General of Police, Erasen. Please, a round of applause for him. Just wave. Yeah, wave. Thank you. EJ, I see you. God bless you. God bless you. VC, we get alignment too. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for the team of Agudai and Maleke. Put your hands together for them, please. Put your hands for them. Thank you. Very quickly, please, just to follow, it's not a slide. I actually had this card with me for quite a while now. The president of the foremost club in Benin Club, Sir Engineer Dr. Ade Edeki, is here in the house. You're welcome, sir. Thank you. You're welcome. Please, let's appreciate his presence. Thank you so much. Okay. Just before we take the vote of thanks, let's hear just a little remark from our celebrants today. Just a little remark from him before we get a vote of thanks.
Vice Chancellor, University of Benin, I want to stand on existing protocol. Well, my birthday was on the 7th. I was 60 on the 7th of January. And I was taken away by my wife to celebrate with my children and my family. And I actually thought it was over. And I thought I had escaped something like this. But when my brother brought this up, and he said he wanted to do this for me, apparently we had discussed about what had happened in Libya and how I was in my hotel room in Dubai before my birthday, and I saw what happened with the returnees from Libya and how I shed tears. So this topic was enough to ignite my willingness for this to happen today and more. Today is very sad that our youths are ending up the way they are. And my own little contribution is the fact that what has brought us to this stage of our nationhood is purely corruption. In one word, corruption in our system over the years has actually made us lose our value system. For us and our age group, the late 50s, the early 60s, some of us got the best of this country. I went to Federal Government College purely on merit, not by the fact that my father was the big man in Benin, but purely on my merit. I went to flying school purely on merit, and I left school the same day I left school. Aero contractors trained me. I got to Lagos. My salary started the day my logbook was signed. They told me to go abroad for 1 month for leave. I went on leave. They paid for my leave. By the time I came back, I had my housing loan, my car loan, my furniture loan, which was 17,000 naira as at then. I was able to buy my first car. I was able to rent a house, and I still had change, and I furnished my apartment. And graduates then also, my mates that had left the university, were also employed. Almost immediately they left university. They were able to buy cars. They had jobs. But it's very unfortunate that our mates that went through this, that got so much from this same state, found themselves in position of authority to give back something to this country, to remember where they came from, and look at the arena and see the life and what you are living. It is unfortunate that my age group failed this country. I don't want to go into the details, but the youth, I implore you, everything about success is hard work. Everything about lifting yourself is about the value that you can give to the society and yourself. It's quite unfortunate where I'm coming from. I cannot do another 60 years. If we become elders that cannot say the truth, you have not only failed yourself, but you have failed your family, you have failed your children. We should begin to tell ourselves the truth. Today, I am an ambassador against human trafficking. I am an ambassador against human trafficking. It is evil. It is not what our children should go through. I was quite ambitious when I was young. What made me cry in my hotel room was because if it was today, I would have been in Libya. If I would belong to this generation, if I was quite ambitious. Look, listen, you know why? Madam, why do you have more Bendelites? When I mean Bendelites, Edo and Delta. Bendelites have the greatest drive in this country to want to become something. It's not only about wanting greed or whatever they say. We don't like to be idle. Bendelites are not idle people, we are hardworking people. We must begin to think of how we can deliver value to our children. On this note, I want to thank everybody that has been a part of this lecture. I want to thank the management of University of Benin that identified with this program. Madam, thank you so much for giving us your time out of your busy schedule. Prof, you just delivered everything. It was good. I enjoyed every bit of it. We shall continue to support you, madam. I told you I'm an ambassador, and I think everybody should be an ambassador of this worthy cause. I want to correct something. Yes, I once said that I conquered the air. True, at my young age. I conquered the sea, yes, with over close to 60 vessels in the water. I'm yet to conquer the land, because by the time you conquer the land, you are gone. So please, if you don't say I have conquered the land, by the time you conquer the land is taking you. I said before the land takes me, I want to try to conquer the land. Yes, I've started with the 20 hectares of greenhouse in bypass. I like to do my things properly. Mistake was made in that greenhouse, and I have to start all over again because I'm a perfectionist. I don't know how to do things halfway. I've started afresh. I will soon be producing. I have 9,000 hectares in Odi. The plans are on, and very soon, that is the big farm that you are talking about. I'm going to go on a road show to bring in investors into that farm because I've been planning, and the master plan is being worked on in Europe. I have to have a bankable document which I'm working on, and very soon, by the grace of God, we will start work in the 9,000 hectares in Odi, if the cattle will allow us. Thank you.
Are you sitting down, ladies and gentlemen? Please put your hands together for this great man. Put your hands together for him, please. Put your hands together for him. Thank you.
Number one and nothing less. Lead me to my destiny. I have waited patiently. I have vision, though I believe. I know I can count on me. So stand up for the champions, for the champions. Stand up, stand up, stand up for the champions, for the champions. Stand up for the champions, for the champions. Stand up, stand up, stand up for the champions, for the champions. Stand up.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Very quickly, please. Please. The celebrant is still seated. The Vice Chancellor and his entourage and the management of the university are here. Please, you cannot leave. Just give us about 2 or 3 minutes and we'll be done. But let me recognize the Hall 3 Mayor, the man popularly referred to as a political animal, Comrade Okafor. Thank you so much. Now let me invite Mr. Kingsley Okunbo to please make a vote of thanks. But just to let you know that standing very close to the celebrant and making his remarks, you will agree with me that was a very thought-provoking remark. But I had the good fortune of being very close to him, and you could see the passion emanating from every pulse of his skin. Very passionate about this program, very passionate about all the things that he said. And we pray that all that you have set your eyes and your hands to do, God will bless you in Jesus' name. Mr. Kingsley, sir.
Thank you very much. Very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please permit me to stand on existing protocol. First of all, I would like to give glory to Almighty God for making today possible. You all agree with me that for an occasion like this, it will not just happen overnight. Okay, wheels have been rolling for the past few weeks. Yes, wheels have been rolling for the past 2 weeks. I would like to start by thanking the Vice Chancellor. Thank you very much, sir, with your full team for the support. And I heard you thanking me. You don't have to thank me. I have to thank you because I know what we took your people through. Thank you very much for this wonderful afternoon. It's very, very rewarding for us to have such an intellectually stimulating and rewarding afternoon lecture. And on that note, I would like to thank one of these erudite speakers that we had today, Dame Julie Donley, the DG of NAPTIP. And I'm sure for those of you that listened to her, you could see the passion in which she delivered her lecture. And listening to her, one thing came to my mind. I said, yes, we have another spirit of Dora Akinyuli, you know, in NAPTIP. Madam, I think she passed the torch on to you. And thank you very much. If I was the president, all DGs would now be women. Thank you. And to our prof, now I know why you are the dean of students, the commander of the student garrison. Thank you very much for that thought-provoking lecture. And I'm sure our youth will have heard very well what they have said. And our royal father of the day, Omonoba Nedo, Oba Iwari Ogidika, Oba Atokpe, ably represented here by the Palace Chiefs, Madomo. Thank you very much, sir. I can see some members of the State Executive Council. Thank you very much for gracing this occasion. All captains of industry here present, thank you very much. Members of the family, thank you for coming. I mean, big family, Okunbo and friends, we call ourselves family. I know there are some non-governmental NGOs here and government NGOs. Thank you very much for adding value to this beautiful lecture. 28 of them have just been corrected. God bless you. To the gentlemen of the press, thank you very much for this occasion. The members of the organizing committee, you know, from UNIPEN, like I said, and my good people from IPDC and OMS, thank you very much for putting this together. On a funny note, let me say this. Last week, I was reading the newspapers, and I read NAPTIP trying to feverishly deny that they did not consult witch doctors to stop this human trafficking. And I was laughing. When I saw her yesterday, I said, look, I read this in the papers, and I didn't tell her what I was going to say today, but madam, listening to you and listening to the professor today, there was absolutely no reason that you people should have even denied that. I heard that you said you were going to, it was a sensitization campaign to the causes, all these Ayelala and co, you know, just to sensitize them so that they cannot make our kids afraid. But having listened to you and listened to Prof and all of us, even with the pain in the theater group that could really pinpoint what the youth are feeling, there was absolutely no reason for you people to. Left to me, I think the Pentecostal Association of Nigeria for the first time can collaborate with the witch doctors to stop this scourge. If there's any way they can, but every hand has to be on deck to stop this scourge. And I'm sure God will help us in Jesus' name. To the students, greatest UNIBEN students, greatest UNIBEN students, please, we have more than enough lunch for all of you. We have souvenirs for you also. What will make you remember this day? They will be handed over to the committee, and I'm sure it's consulted with the student union leader. But please, I beg you for something. Please, let's try to be very orderly when they are sharing it so that it can go around everybody. You promise me that? You promise me that? Thank you very much. And last but not least, thank you very much. Thank you very much for giving us a very good evening. And I will close by leaving you with these words of Martin Luther King. I know my brother very well, and I'm sure I don't need to add more because you heard him speak from his heart. You heard him speak from his heart. Virtually has even done my job for me, but according to Latin, so I thank you all again. I'll leave you with these indelible words of Martin Luther King. And before that, our great youth, you know my prayer for you, that sometime in the future, on this same rostrum, when the topics are being selected, there should be something like lessons learned lessons learned from the past when Nigeria was a developing country, so that we'll have a better tomorrow. May that be your portion in Jesus' name. And in closing, let me leave you with these words of Martin Luther King. He said an individual has not started living until he can rise above the confines of his individual concern to the broader concerns of humanity. My brother has passed that test. Captain Hosa, I thank you for this evening. Because of, if not for you, we won't be here. So thank you, sir. And my father too is here, Dr. Okunbo, who is the head of our family now. He's been there seated. Daddy, God bless you. Mr. Vice Chancellor, thank you very much again, sir. And I want to believe that we'll have to wait. Right? Okay. Thank you very much and have a very, very fruitful weekend. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please just join me to put our hands together for this wonderful show of love by Mr. Okunbo to his brother, because it's something very, very rare at times. Please, he put all this together. He headed the team to organize this whole function and lectures to honor his brother. You have honored your brother. Honor will not depart from your household in Jesus' name. Thank you. One more time, put your hands together for him. Thank you, Mr. Okunbo. And very quickly, let me invite Pastor Osazuwa, very briefly, a closing prayer.
Praise the Lord. Before the prayer section, I want to very specially appreciate the Vice Chancellor for the restatement of the rusticated students of this institution. I have also personally put a call across to the Emir Sanusi to also appreciate him. But I think there's still one more step to go. God bless you. Then secondly, I want to appreciate my brother Capt. Idahosa Okunbo. I want to leave everyone here, especially the youth, with this. Let us not look at Captain based on achievement. Let us look at him based on value addition. The value he has added. And this is very key. As students, let's focus on solving a problem. Because whatever you have heard today is because a man has decided to solve a problem. Let's rise on our feet as we pray. Everyone, rise on your feet. Heavenly Father, we thank you for a time such as this. We thank you for the privilege to gather at a critical moment like this. I want to thank you for this great institution and everything you are doing in this institution. We want to also thank you for the celebrant of today. My prayer is this: the next time we are going to come together, we are going to trace attitudinal change. We are going to trace major decisions taken from today's lecture. Heavenly Father, as we go back to our respective places, we thank you for safety and anticipation. In Jesus' precious name. God bless University of Benin.
Please, as we remain standing, we'll take the Uniben anthem and then the second stanza of the national anthem. Please, as a sign of respect and allegiance to our country, let us be patriotic. Let's remain standing, please. Thank you. The Uniben anthem. Please, no movement, please. Second stanza, national anthem.
Lord.
as the celebrants and the Vice Chancellor and his team depart. Deans and directors, we have packages for you. Please just remain seated. Thank you. Please, yeah, this way, sir. Thank you very much.